Welcome back to Catholic Conversations. As always, I'm your host, Joelle Zarnowski, and this week we are joined by Father Dennis Walker and his dad, Mark. So thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks for the invitation.
And happy belated Father's Day to any of our fathers that are listening. This will come out the week after Father's Day, so Tuesday after Father's Day. So I wanted to have you guys come on and kind of talk about, the experience of being a dad, raising someone who is now a priest, and that relationship that you guys had and still have, obviously, through this process of your vocation journey. So I think that we talk a lot when we're talking about vocations, about how vocations start at home. And it really is your family is a huge part of the support that our priests and religious need when they're going through that process. So would you guys want to share a little bit about kind of what that was like for you while you were in seminary, or maybe even while you were discerning, and the support that you received from your parents?
I can start.
Yeah.
And it probably starts even before that. I remember we went to St. James, now Our Lady of Hope, and even when I was very young, we would go to the 7:30 Mass every Sunday. So it was very early.
Yes.
But and I remember that was we did that. That's what we did every Sunday. We would do that. I forget when we would eat breakfast, but probably afterwards. And then the other thing too is that we didn't go, as he says, slumming it. I wouldn't be wearing. He's like, you got to wear khakis, got to get a collared shirt, no sneakers. We go dignified to this, and I think that kind of set this tone. This is a sacred place that we're going to, and so from that young age, that kind of was this. It was the center of my week, maybe just unintentional, but that's how it became. And from there, that kind of set the tone of this is the center. If this is the center of our life, then we can go to the Lord for anything, especially where He wants you to go in life. And that kind of fed into my vocation after I went out of college. And that was the thing. Him and my mom, my dad, my mom, they always. The faith was the center of our home. The faith was the center of our life, and that kind of made it natural for me to go into seminary. It was really it took a long time to get there, but once I made the jump, it was natural.
Right. So after you graduated from college, you actually worked for your dad's business for a time.
Yeah.
Right. So, what was that like for you as a father, having him work alongside you, and then he's like, "Well, Dad, actually, I think I'm going to go a different direction."
Well, they both, my daughter and my son, knew back in high school that the business that we started, or that I started, was done so that I could provide for them and I'm self-directed. I knew what I wanted to do in my industry, and this was the only way to do it. So as the years went on, and I'd say to him, the business was not started with the idea that you're going to come into it. If you want in, great. If you don't want in, great. Just find your passion and follow it. And my daughter has made that walk as well. She spent a number of years trying to get from high school to where she is as a sign language interpreter. Mm-hmm. And it was college, but then she moved, there weren't any jobs in where she wanted to be. She wasn't in the interpreting. Then she got to work for me because, well, you had to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And Dennis came after a couple of years out. Actually, he worked vacations, but a couple of years out, after college, after 2 assignments in government, he said, I'm going in the seminary. I'm available for a year or two as the process takes place.
Yeah.
So it was great. I'm happy that he followed his passion. He followed the connection he had, discerning it through life, and he had a lot of connections with seminarians, friends, a classmate that he was connected with for a number of years. They're the same age. They were in high school together. Mm-hmm. It was good to watch, and it was fun to have the both of them for the couple of years.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot together. How many fathers get to have that happen? I know my daughter would have preferred to be anywhere else but working with us, but it was in time.
Yeah.
In time, she got to where she wanted to be, and
yeah, that's great that you have that time to bond and spend time with each other. But then it's still, when you're ready to move on, having the support of your family is huge. Mm-hmm. So,
and I have pictures of both of them in different things that we did down in a vault, a dirty vault where we're trying to assemble pipe or valves, or up on a lift, 20 odd feet, trying to break pieces. So there should be a humbling position, reflection to where you've been, and to how you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been ordained now for 4 years. I think you just had your 4th anniversary in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
right?
about last week.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It probably doesn't seem like 4 years have gone by, and it also probably feels like it's been way longer than 4 years at the same time.
Yeah.
So how, since you've been ordained, how do you feel like your relationship has maybe deepened or changed? Like, was it weird for you the first time you heard people call him Father Dennis?
No, not at all.
No? All right.
Not at all. It was having been connected on the outside during that 6-year walk that he had, and been down to the seminary and meet a caliber of men that you're so impressed with, that are from all over the country or all over the Eastern Seaboard, and you knew what they have put into the studies, the whole year after year in the seminary. This was a term of respect that they deserved. It was nice to hear, that he had reached that crucial crux. I am now the follower of God, and the disseminating to folks the word.
Yeah.
Good. There was no major emotional change. It was, you're due that.
Yeah.
You've reached that plateau.
Yeah. And how about for you? Do you feel like there's been experiences that you've had since you've been ordained that have maybe helped deepen your relationship with your dad?
It's kind of interesting too, because even though I got ordained, it kind of feels like it's, some things didn't change. And I think that's a good thing too, is that, he's still my dad, and we still have the same back and forth that we did beforehand. But sometimes when I come in the door, I'll say, "Hey, Dad," and go, "Hey, Father," so that's, so that's the kind of, we can joke with that. But I think that's kind of a good thing too, is that in a sense that, I'm now in this new role, but the relationship between him, my mom too, I still realize that I'm still their son, and even though I have this role as a father to many other people. And I think some priest said to me maybe a couple of years ago, he's like, you got ordained, but you're still Dennis. And I think that's that's good, because I did grow. There's some growth, but becoming who I am, Father Dennis it doesn't take away from the personality I have.
Right. Yeah, our priests definitely are not cookie cutter. Like, you all have something unique that's you. Whether it be, we have some priests that really love to cook. We have some musicians. I'm sure we have some artists out there. I haven't investigated that much, but I think that might be like our next thing, is investigating all these special talents that our clergy have, because I think there's a lot out there. So since you've been ordained, have there been any special moments that you have experienced together, like maybe your first Mass? I know we just talked with now Father John and Father Joe Ryan about the tradition of giving it's the Maniturgia to your mother, and then the stole that you hear your first confession to your father. Things like that. Have there been situations that have felt really special since you've been ordained?
Yeah, especially that at the first Mass, it was that was kind of it's always a very, it kind of gets you choked up a little bit. I think I was choked up, I try, as hard as you try not to. But also, I was thinking back the other day. I was looking at some pictures from my ordination, and when I gave my first blessing to them. The first blessing any priest gives is to the bishop.
Right.
Actually, we were fortunate to have both Bishop Lucia and Cunningham. But then they came out to the front of the cathedral, and fortunately, we have a great picture of that, because I was just, the one thing, I'm like, everybody's like swarming us, and I'm thinking, like, where's my parents? I got to give them the first blessing. And so there's a great picture of us just out in front of the cathedral, with you giving and so that was really special on the ordination day. It just kind of made it complete.
Yeah. Well, and you were ordained in 2021, so we were still in the height of the pandemic and lockdown. So your ordination was a little different than everyone else's. The audience was very limited of who could be there. I did watch online because I was super excited that we had 4 of you being ordained at the same time. That was so exciting. So, I mean, still though, that feeling of like, I want to make sure that my parents are first, even though there's not as many people as normally would be there, you're seeking them out to make sure that they're sharing this really special moment with you. And how did that feel for you as a parent to receive that first blessing?
Well, that was, again, I looked at it, and I'm sure my wife did too. It's the culmination of his walk. It's great. We're there. We're first in.
Yeah.
Here he's walking out with to do this to others. This is great.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, but was it the
Maniturgium.
The Maniturgium.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so they present that, and with the explanation that, well, this is for the mother, and she's got an automatic ride to heaven. And I go, well, what about me? I got nothing like it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's we looked at the whole walk with, there were tears at moments when they play God above all,
Yeah.
praising.
Mm-hmm.
And the choir,
Yeah, they're good.
the choir, you can't be done any better and more impressive to tell you what just took place
Mm-hmm.
in a ordination than having that particular hymn. And it was nice for Father John and Joe that it was at the end. It was at the procession out, or
Yeah.
the recession out.
Yeah.
So we find humor in many things.
Yeah.
We find it's a neat walk. Yeah, we're walking on the outside, but our heads are turning. What's next to observe and
Yeah.
enjoy?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a very long process to go through seminary and to be ordained. It's not like, you go in and it's 2 years, like you're getting a master's degree. Like this is and it's a lifelong commitment that you're making. And I think that it's so important that you have supportive family to do that, to have that walk with you, and just to be there and know that you have that support that's important to anybody. Like everybody wants their parents' support, right? And especially when you're making these life-changing decisions. Like the same thing when people get married. You want your parents to like your spouse. So it's no different when you're going through with this vocation to the priesthood. I mean, this is your vocation is to the priesthood. Other people have the vocation to marriage. So, Mark, what advice would you offer to parents who have a son who's maybe discerning a call to the priesthood? They're not sure about it. There's I think that there's some parents that might worry, like, what does this mean for my son? He's not going to be married. We're not going to have grandchildren. What does this look like? And, they need a little bit of comfort, and they need their minds put at ease. So what advice would you have for parents that are in that situation?
I have heard those phrases in the past by some. I'm going to miss out on being a grandparent. Well, I didn't look at it that way at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are others that they're all in on their sons doing the walk for discernment.
Mm-hmm.
But then they ask, well, where do we stand in this thing? What do we do? What's it all about? And we have had the privilege of being still connected with seminarian parents for the past the 4 years since he's been out,
Mm-hmm.
and all the years before. And because each year we had a different plateau of walk, that we were able to say, take it easy, we just ride it out. They won't tell us much. You just kind of keep on point. This, I think every parent should, and they don't, think in terms, because the child, the son, the daughter are individuals, you don't know which way their personality's going to be shaped. You just hope that they become the very best they can be,
Mm-hmm.
and not try to steer where they're going to go,
Mm-hmm.
because there'll be resentment potentially.
Yeah.
So sit back and enjoy the walk, and take part where you can, and
Yeah.
like go to the seminary when they're becoming in the position for acolyte,
Mm-hmm.
or lector, or once a year there's usually something and it's worthy to go down, and especially to meet the other seminarians, as I had expressed earlier.
Yeah.
Boy, there are some fellas that were really had command of many things, and it was fun to talk with.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of end up like expanding your family in a different way, because now your son has all of these brother priests, and then their parishes become like a family to them. So it's, I mean, your family's growing in a different way. When your son becomes a priest.
Yes, we did, didn't we? Down there at the Donnelly.
Oh, yeah. Donnelly Lounge,
Donnelly Lounge, where we had plenty of time to socialize with others. And one of the his key, one of the many close friends he had from there, Dennis couldn't make. They graduated at the same time. They're going to be ordained, but one's in Baltimore, and Dennis couldn't make his ordination because he was committed to another one.
Mm-hmm.
So, my wife and I knew this priest. We made the journey down to East Nowhere at the far end of Maryland?
Yeah, almost West Virginia.
Well,
Oh, goodness.
You can see the rolling hills from.
'Cause we enjoyed, and he was an older gentleman. He wasn't of the same 20 odd to 30 odd, and so we had a great connection, and it was fun to go down and be connected.
Yeah.
We thought, well, we're going to, my daughter, my wife, and I, let's go down and go to
Yeah.
Father Scott's
Yeah.
our first Mass.
Yeah.
So this was, some great people. And, you have to want to expand your horizons. If you're going
Right.
to do just, live in a little orbit, try to think beyond that, because your son's walk is going to open some ideas, some horizons. Not that you may change necessarily, but you'll be inspired by what you see and hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then Father Dennis, what advice would you offer to not only your fellow priests, but our seminarians and anybody who's discerning priesthood about the importance of maintaining that tie and that close relationship to your family?
Yeah. One thing to kind of I'm reminded too that there's a lot of priests that they talk about that are a little bit older, maybe even my age, where their parents have gone to God, and so we're grateful to have the time we have with them, and that's something they really cherish too. Is that we have basically limited time and limited things in this life. And it's a great gift to be able to share that time with them. So that's one thing, is just to kind of think, this is a gift to be able to share that with them. Because my mom and dad, I think they're really grateful every time they get to see me either celebrate Mass, or even just not even celebrate Mass, just be out with, seeing me do some of the priest stuff that I do.
Yeah.
But also too, I think it's good to be connected to your family too, because it keeps you grounded too. The thing is, like I kind of said before, I stayed the same, and like I stayed the same in my personality. I grew, but also too, it helps you to be reminded too, like, hey, you're, like Jesus, his mother, he came from a family, and I kind of reflect on that sometimes, the Holy Family, what Jesus's home life was. He was obedient to them, and, although he was God, he was obedient to them, and to a certain extent. So that really it reminds me too, and that's the thing. When I run into trouble, especially like mechanical stuff at the rectory or other places, he's the first guy I call. If there's anything else, I call my mom. So that's the thing, is like they never stop being my parents. They know a lot more than I do, and I'll never, that's one thing I'll never know more than them in this life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Sure.
Well, thank you again both
Yeah.
for coming on and sharing this with us, and happy Father's Day to both of you.
Thank you.
And we will see our listeners next week.